Hello fellow Tamers, Digidread on the mic, and you know what it is. We are talking about our good friend who has made himself to the VIP suite of the restriction list, restricted to 1, currently in JP, in effect on September the 1st. No word in the EU format as of yet, but you know, it's gonna be coming. It's going to be coming. But in this video, I want to kind of give you my personal opinions on, you know, the actual effect it actually has with the Alphamon deck. It just takes a lot of power out of it, and also affects cards like Dex DoruGreymon, which was sounding fantastic on paper. Does a lot of stuff, nice little bit of, you know, memory gain, sending out trash, all that good stuff, and then able to clear a level 4 level Digimon off board. Really spicy. But now with DoruGreymon restricted, this card kind of loses its value a little bit, and especially for people who are hunted out for the pre-release stamp cards. You know, unless you're running the decks, the actual decks, the main theme deck of revolving around this particular mon, it probably won't see a lot of play, unfortunately. As well, people are obviously losing their mind in terms of where do we go with Alphamon when this comes into effect over in the EU format. Which I've got a nice little deck profile there as well, just kind of my take of what I'm going to do in terms of kind of restructuring my Alphamon build and still achieving somewhat the similar results, but with a nice little bit of a spicy tech options to include. So this is the video for you. Make sure you get a drink, 'cause it might be a long one. I'm talking about a 30-minute, but hopefully I'll make it nice and entertaining. But first, let me just get a little bit of a banging all the time. It's always amazing. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and set the notification bell, so I have new videos on the reg. We're doing all right in terms of the subs, guys. We need to hit that 500 now. I mean, regionals in October is coming, and I've slipped off the bandwagon in terms of the gym because I did have tonsillitis, but I'm getting back there Monday. I'm waking up at 6 and I'm going to be hitting that hard. So let's get on into it. DoruGreymon. When I saw the restrictions kind of kick off and this was on the list, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit surprised. I was a bit like, right, okay, this ban list is related to the JP format currently going on, and obviously they're on BT10, well, the EX3, BT10, all that good stuff. And, you know, CrossArts is absolutely dominating. In terms of the data, it is slapping cheeks. I'm like, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Sunrise Buster is doing the busting of boards. It's just unbelievable, and getting maximum worth when, you know, you can play a Tamer red or yellow or both on the field. So it's just absolute massive value, and people were thinking, yeah, that's gonna get hit. You know, Sunrise Buster is gonna get hit because it's just so much worth for what it is. But then we've got DoruGreymon, which for me, when I first saw it, I thought, like, are they just like, it's not really like a money kind of, I wouldn't say it's money related in terms of Bandai just like, you know, want to just hit something for the sake of selling cards. I kind of feel like it's more of, right, they've identified that Alphamon is pretty strong in the EU format. Let's just ban it now in the JP format, despite it not really having much representation there, and see what kind of effect it has on the EU side of things, like in terms of like how are we reacting, and just basically just monitoring the reaction of this hitting the ban list, because inevitably it's going to come pretty much over here, but it's just a matter of when, and it'd be a little bit annoying if it happens before regionals. Like obviously in JP it's happening on the September the 1st. It'd be just shocking if they went like, oh yeah, this comes to effect in the EU on the 1st of October. Like, that's literally just like, it'd be stupid. It'd be stupid. Very unlikely it would happen. But when we look at what the card does, yeah, it's broken. I mean, once you get this boy down and it's doing whatever it's doing, you know, it's got that nice, you know, prevention or from deleting this Digimon being the key word. Alphamon's just an absolute wrecking ball. It's honestly just chewing through your stack, and you can't really do anything about it apart from just take it. You just need to just take it and, you know, fold up your mat and leave the table. And the fact that Yuji can obviously stack other DoruGreymons underneath, so just getting that massive security check advantage, which is the whole part of the Alphamon OTK. It's why it's so desirable. It's one of probably the #1 slots for placing this at 4 in any form of Alphamon deck. If you don't run DoruGreymon, what are you doing? So the fact this is restricted to 1, it does affect its tempo quite a bit, and you know, it'd be stupid to say it wouldn't. I mean, having any form of additional security attack is tempo. It's absolute tempo swinging through. 9 times out of 10, the base, you're swinging with Alphamon Ouryuken mode at 2 checks. 9 times out of 10, you might be able to slot at least 2 of these underneath. So obviously you've got this one, and then the one that you may slot underneath with UG. So you're swinging for 3 checks, and just like having an Ouryuken in the stack, unsuspend, reswing, it's all that good stuff. So it kind of follows the same premise of what happened with Jessamon. Jessamon was ruthless because it was just multi-swinging, but it also had Tamers that could also add additional security checks in there as well. So I can kind of see the reasoning here. Even though Black hasn't got anything that can grant additional security checks, it's got a card that can build underneath any form of X-antibody card in its stack, which obviously this is going to be your prime target to get that form of aggression. The thing that I'm a little bit like, well, you know, what else does it actually have an effect on in terms of Alphamon? And there's quite a few things. Obviously, we got Dex DoruGrey, which, you know, Digivolve for the cost of 1, which effectively is free due to its effect of able to trash a card with Dex, Def X, or X-antibody in its traits to gain that 1 memory. So effectively it's free, but the key card with the key kind of interaction with this was setting up your trash using Cool Boy to obviously suspend, gain that memory, gain some draw, all that good stuff. And then obviously when Digivolving, you could basically pop a level 4 lower Digimon off the opposition's field, which is just really good. I mean, this in Armors, this is the creme de la creme, I swear, banging. Also, when you are going into Alphamon, and well, Alphamon Ouryuken mode, this was actually one of the prime targets to kind of sack off to get that memory. So ideal kind of sack off target is going to be your Alphamon, BT9, this, and then your Dex DoruGreymon, and that will give you free memory, and you're absolutely laughing to clap cheeks. Now that you've actually got rid of this, it means that we effectively have to take out maybe a key card in part of our overall strategy that you've maybe included. Granted, 9 times out of 10, if you had to put Ryudamon in your source, you're getting rid of that. I mean, decoy. Who uses decoy? I have no idea. But that is one of the things that I've definitely noticed, is that like now the actual targets that you need to kind of remove, you're going to have to remove one of your X-antibody cards, unless you have got X-antibody, the actual option in the source. That's obviously another valuable, a valid target that you can sack off to get that free memory back. But overall, I feel like this card has really just kind of got neutered a little bit. But granted, it's not over here in effect, so you can still run this bad boy at 4. No need to worry right there. So the question is, did it need to deserve to be hit? I feel like if the announcement said the English format and Dex Doru was, not Dex Doru, DoruGreymon was in being picked off, then I'd say probably yes, because it is quite an overtuned card for what it does. It does leave your opposition just kind of like, I can't do nothing against this, GG boys. But the fact that it's been hit in the JP format where it's not being really represented, that's what leaves me with a little bit of confusion, because I just don't know why it would have been hit in that format unless there's going to be another card in the Dex BT. That's my only reason of their decision. So it's not unjust, it's just a little bit confusing, and I feel like that's the thing, is that if it was English format, this has got restricted in effect from September 1st. Granted, people would be kicking off, but it would make sense relating to what reason they actually gave was the form of like interaction of you're not able to interact with the Digimon stack and also able to use cards to slide this card underneath to actually gain additional security checks on top of Ouryuken, who's actually going to be unspending your Alphamon and so forth. So not an unjust kind of target. it's just it's just a very weird way of them going about banning it relating to JP when Cross Hearts is literally dominating to the point where most of the tops are Cross Heart. Like, it's crazy looking at the data. So let's go over to, you know, how, when it does come over to the English format, how do we kind of start building Alphamon in that sense? That do we build it in the same way? Do we want to kind of get the same kind of OTK strat, or do we kind of go more of a control-y kind of method? And I feel like due to the way Alphamon is, we still want to kind of go for that OTK kind of method, because I just feel like there's still a lot of fast decks where it can just absolutely out tempo, even if you do build, you know, multiple stacks that do this, that, and that. It's just, you just kind of want to get the game done quick. But the options are there. The thing that makes X-antibody or Alphamon, obviously the hit, affect Alphamon versus when the restriction came with Jessamon, there was only one save your hook at the time, which was that one. After that, until we get the starter deck, there's no other options apart from, you know, slapping some Chimeramon glue in there. That's literally all you can kind of do. Or you put Resctriction for some nice node DP reduction, or you go with DoruGreymon for some more additional security checks. But there was just no other option. Versus Alphamon, there's actually other level 5s that can replace it, which can still kind of keep the build as is. It just takes a little bit of deck creation in exploring other cards to obviously get the same design results. So let us now go into, you know, what we got going on here. And this time I did remember the eggs, guys. I remembered the eggs. So let's round it up right here. And I feel like now it's actually, in terms of like our actual ratios, they seem a little bit more normal. So going on with the eggs, we do run 4 Doraemon. This still remains exactly the same because, you know, it's getting that draw. And this deck still relies on its pieces, regardless of what bans and restrictions are being applied. So you definitely want that when you are using this deck. So we do run that 4. Definitely don't need any other form of eggs. Once you go in with Alphamon, you're still kind of cleaving and clapping cheeks. Then in terms of the rookies, we do run 12 now. So Dorumon's still one of those amazing Digimon. Obviously that memory gain is fantastic. Also as well, reveal top 3, you're able to get a card with X-antibody its traits, and also be able to get 1 Coda Demoto, which we do run 2 in this build. Obviously your memory fixer is going to be handy, going to be good, especially for us to kind of safely execute those plays now that we've actually not got DoruGreymon at the top end to kind of get that memory gain back with your cool boy. It's kind of more focused on that one point, which is going to be your deck's DoruGreymon. So then obviously in terms of its inheritables, just gain that 1 memory when someone's placed underneath. Exactly what you need. Fantastic. Run that at 4. This is probably one of those targets that you do want to kind of run on the, obviously, you know, on top of your egg. But now we've actually changed it a little bit. Ideally, we do want Sunarisamon, who's obviously our next kind of option in terms of getting that additional security attack, which we kind of somewhat lost with your DoruGreymon. So then Ryodamon, we're still running at 3. Because we've actually somewhat changed the ratios in terms of the Tamers, this actually has a little bit more relevance now because it's able to search out your UG out of the top 3 cards that you do get, along with an X-antibody card, which is great. And then the inheritable is still trash. Most likely this is probably going to be one of your trash targets when you do use Dex DoruGreymon as effect right there. But regardless, great searcher, especially for UG. Then we still run the 2 BT9 Dorumon, just because we obviously want to be setting that trash up and also be able to draw 2, which is beautiful. Drawing 2 is such a game changer whilst getting another body on the field. So we do run that at 2. And then a new addition, the Digimon that we thought we kind of didn't need anymore, we had to put him back in. The only negative thing about Sunarisamon is that it's not an X-antibody card. So in terms of consistency, there is that chance that you may bottom deck this, which is a little bit annoying. But if you do manage to get him in like your first hand, then banging. Get him on the egg, you are laughing. You've got that aggression still that we've kind of lost with your DoruGreymon. As well, it does have a pretty cool all-turn, basically on your turn as well. If you did want to kind of give your Alphamon that little bit of piercing, because it does have additional, well, it does have more than 13k DP, which is great. It's actually really good. Good for some board clearing, if they've obviously got a suspended Digimon, as well as you still executing those checks, obviously with this in the sauce. So we do run that at 3. I don't think you'd want to run it at 4. I feel like 3 is just enough. I mean, I run into Ryudamon plenty of times. I think 3 is just a nice, comfortable amount. You should just round up your rookie lineup to 12 rookies. Then we go in to your champions. Champions still remain the same. I feel like the X-antibody version of DoruGreymon is still relevant if you're still utilizing Cool Boy. I think Cool Boy is still an amazing tamer, and even despite this new restriction, it still helps with that consistency. It's just a benefit that you're able to suspend it and gain gain X amount of memory and X amount of draws. But this, obviously, DoruGreymon, we all know what this boy does. Obviously, if there is an X-antibody card in its stack, it grants its blocker, which is just great. And then all turns, really powerful and helpful out here. Grants you Digimon 1000 DP if it's got X-antibody in its traits. Really, really good. Definitely run that at 4, no less. And then the last for the actual champion lineup is going to be your Dex DoruGreymon. I feel like this is still a really good staple card. If you was going to go for any form of pre-release stamp cards, this is definitely the one right here. Unless they ban this for some unknown reason, because you are able to evo this on top of your DoruGreymon for the cost of 0. So you're always getting that worth, because you can set up your trash with your X-antibody cards, obviously if they've got it in its traits, and gain that 1 memory. So if you got the Ouryuken in hand, trash that, getting ready for those big plays right there, you're able to get that memory, gaining 1, which is just banging. Obviously, if we're still utilizing Cool Boy, we're able to suspend that and gain X amount of cards and X amount of memory for you to further execute your kind of your evos into your ultimates, which is probably a lot more important now due to the restriction of DoruGreymon. As well, when digivolving, obviously if you have trashed a card, you obviously gain that blocker, which you already gained anyway with your DoruGreymon, but obviously 9 times out of 10 you evoed DoruGreymon in your raising, so when you pull out then evo into this, it just kind of give the whole stack that blocker, and also retaliation, which is just great to the opponent, end of your opponent's turn. And like I said, this card is most likely one of your trash targets when you do evo into your Alphamon Ouryuken mode to gain that memory. So we do run that at 4, and that is literally it. People can run, you can run that Grumblemon hybrid for game. It's definitely always great, but I've never had to do it. And if I'm gonna run cards that are outside of consistency of X-antibody, I'd rather it just be Sunarisamon, because it has that much value in terms of getting that extra security attack. But that is just me, and that is just my personal preference. So let's go on into the ultimates right here. This rare gem, the one of DoruGreymon. I mean, yeah, it's still a staple. The only thing now is that it actually, with the restriction, obviously this card, there's pretty much no point in you running Dex DoruGreymon, just on the off chance. It is great to evo into it, and you can still evo for free to set up trash. But 9 times out of 10, we've got other cards that can set up that trash anyway, and also pick out key cards. Granted, it's a little bit more of a gacha way, but it's still somewhat better than relying on this one card to try and achieve that. So, new players, if you obviously you want to pick up Alphamon, DoruGreymon, fantastic card. Obviously, you can place a black card with X-antibody and its traits underneath, which is perfect. And then if you've done that, this Digimon, this basically, that stat can't be affected from deleting it or DP reducing it to the end of the opponent's turn. So really good immunity right there. It can still be bounced, being the main thing, but it can't be deleted or can't be DP reduced, which 9 times out of 10, your reds are pretty heavy on the deletion front, and also if you have security control, your yellow would have been your ones that would have kind of done the DP reduction, but it's absolutely immune for that turn. But obviously the creme de la creme with this particular Digimon was obviously the additional security attack. If it's got X-antibody in its traits, obviously team tag that up with, obviously with this effect, if you have 2 in hand, boom, slide underneath, you've got pretty much additional 2 security checks. Or if obviously you swing, go with UG, slide that underneath, boom, that's another way of kind of getting around it. So really heavy aggression with this card, but unfortunately it has been restricted to 1. But in this instance, because we do run the Sunnerizamon, and then if we did have this card in hand, or if we did happen to trash it, it means that we got options when we do go into our Alphamon BT9 that we can obviously slide that back in and kind of get that aggression that way, team tagging that up with your UG to unsuspend and obviously get the Ouryuken. So there is still great ways in terms of utilizing this card, which is probably better than, say, like obviously with Jessmon, where it's like the one savior. Once that's kind of bottom deck, you're kind of screwed. Alphamon and the X-antibody overall premise of what it's trying to do now with trashing sources and using the trash as its secondary option, there is great ways of kind of getting this mon in your stack compared to other cards that have been restricted to 1. So then in terms of the new spice that has to replace DoruGreymon, it's going to have to be your Hisyaryumon. I hope I pronounced that right, probably going to butcher it. This right here effectively is kind of like X-antibody option card of what it does. So when one of your effects places a Digivolution card underneath this Digimon, you may Digivolve into a card from your hand with X-antibody in its traits by paying its Digivolution cost. And then when this Digimon would Digivolve with this effect, reduce the actual cost by 1, which is really powerful. It means that you can go to Alphamon for the cost of 2, which is just splendor. So effectively, it is a nice kind of X-antibody option where essentially you do have to attack to then trigger your UG in order to slide some underneath in order to then trigger this effect to then go into Alphamon, and then you trigger Alphamon's effect to get something from trash. There's a lot of interactions, and this is where the kind of complexity comes with this deck. It's more the interactions to obviously secure those key plays, and I feel like this is definitely a really fantastic option because it does grant, in terms of inheritable, reboot, which is going to be good because you're going to have the effect of your Dex DoruGreymon, who's got block and retaliation. So they synergize really well with one another in order for you to kind of get the maximum gain. And you know, if we can't finish the dinner, at least you can literally restand and take a hit. And if the opponent's going to try and hit you for the same DP, or even less DP, then, well, no, same DP or more, at least you can take them down with you. So really good card. You do it, for me, run that at 3. So overall we are running 8 ultimates, and I feel like a nice, beautiful spread. Greymon, I still say this boy is absolutely slept on because it is a really good card. And this right here is really good if you're wanting to essentially kind of top deck your Alphamon or set up your plays to go into Alphamon to get something from your trash to really pop off. Because when Digivolving, you're able to reveal top 3 cards from your deck, add 1 card with Alphamon, then you're able to place 1 card with X-antibody in its traits underneath. Obviously then that's going to trigger all the effects of whatever you got underneath in your stack, and then you're able to trash the remaining. So there's a lot of worth that you're getting with Greymon right here. 1, you're getting an Alphamon, which Alphamon is going to be obviously your kind of win condition, so you do want to be able to grab him. 2, you're also setting up trash. So if you happened to draw into, well, no, obviously you can put something underneath. So if you happen to draw into your Dex, your DoruGreymon, slide that underneath. You got that security tag. Obviously as well, you're gonna have Sunnerizamon in the stack. So you got 2 checks, 2 additional checks right there when you go to your Alphamon Ouryuken mode. Perfect. And then whatever was left, so say just for heaven's sake, we'll just say like it was Ouryuken, put him in trash. Once you go into Alphamon, you can then slide that underneath, and then you've got pretty much the perfect stack. Granted, you've not got the actual, essentially the deletion immunity or DP immunity, but you have got the source for you to just kind of clean up nicely, at least do 6 checks if you don't get bodied by an option. So you're absolutely laughing on that front. And then if it couldn't get any better, he has got quite an amazing inheritable, which end of attack, and this is not once per turn, you're able to delete a Digimon. Well, if this Digimon has Alphamon in its name, delete one of your opponent's Digimon at a play cost of 5 or less, which is just great for that nice bit of control. It enables you to kind of prevent the rookie rush from kind of clapping your cheeks, because it is an extremely fast deck, so you want ways to somewhat control that board presence whilst you're still going in. So I feel like Greymon is a fantastic alternative. Do not sleep on this boy, and the alternate art is fantastic. Absolutely one of my favorite alternate arts out of the set, if I'm honest. So we do run that free, and I feel like that's a nice, beautiful spread. I feel like you're getting that reboot to kind of restand and block. 9 times out of 10, like on the old build, essentially you would use your breath to kind of get that reboot, and obviously then you kind of block in that sense. But at least now it kind of comes innatively, and it's also a great trash target as well. So really, really good kind of alternative. And I feel like X-antibody Alphamon is in a pretty good position despite this boy being banned. Well, restricted being the correct word. So when it does come to the English format, I feel like we're in a pretty solid position right here. There's nothing to worry about. Guys, stop freaking out. Honestly, Alphamon is just fine. It's just fine. Still does what it needs to be doing. So then we go on to the ultimates. The megas. The megas are still relatively the same. We still kind of go with the Ouryuken, just for that kind of win condition in terms of your unsuspending when it's in the source. Obviously, in the attack once per turn. So as long as your timing your huge is right, this is pretty much going to be your win condition. You're not really going to evo into this. It'd be such a waste of a stack evo into this. So yeah, going to be basically one of your trash targets or one of your targets to put underneath, without a doubt. So we do run that at 3. Don't want to be running that less. It is such a crucial card for the OTK. And still, you can still pretty much, I would say you can still OTK with this deck build. Then obviously the guy who's stepping into the function, let me put one for the homie. Look at him. Look at him, dressed to impress, ready to Digiroll. A really, really strong card right here. On top of obviously the new addition of the ultimate lineup, if we're going for a swing, we can reduce that to 2. We could obviously still get the effects of it's digivolving. We're able to just kind of digivolve. Well, we're able to get something from the trash underneath. Really solid effect right there. And then you're also able to digivolve, and this is once per turn. So if you're still in this particular Digimon, at least then you can actually utilize this and just really control the field. So definitely still run that at 3. You could slide in the BT6 Alphamon, but I still find it a little bit clunky. Like, if I've got like both of them in hand, I'm going to this one. This is the one I'm going into. But it is a nice little combo piece with your Ouryuken, just because you are able to reduce the cost right there, and obviously on the end of attack it does gain that 2 memory, so effectively you've got it for free. But I still feel like this is the way to go. This is such the worth, and really good for obviously your trash target there as well. And then obviously Ouryuken mode, we all know what this boy does. Absolutely clap cheeks still. Yeah, it's just it's your main win con, 16k. I mean, seeing this in stack can ruin games for the opposition, but seeing it in your hand and on the field can also ruin games right there. So yeah, absolute rewind time shenanigans in terms of getting that memory back. And this is once per turn, may I add. So depending on how many UGs you got, depending on how many kind of sources you're bringing in, you can rewind it back. But 9 times out of 10, you pretty much got game. But now that we've not got that immunity to essentially deletion effects and so forth, we may come to kind of like situations where, we might find out our stack is absolutely blown up, headshotted, is done. So we're gonna have to kind of rebuild. So it is one of those where effectively we do need to assure that we kind of hanging on to these in hand if it depends on what kind of matchup you're going against. But regardless, still a strong card, still run that free. So in terms of options, pretty much the same. So Breath of the Gods, really, really good. Now that we've actually got a Digimon that kind of grants them reboot, it's not necessarily that amazing, but regardless, it's still a very strong card in this deck because it does obviously add that protection, which we may not now get with DoruGreymon, because obviously it can't have its DP reduced or cannot be bounced as well, which is just what you want. And then from security, once this has been triggered, your opponent cannot attack the player for a turn, which is just a great stalling mechanic right there. So we do run that at 2. Kongu, just beautiful, obviously great against yellow, can't effectively recover, and as well Rookie Rush can't rush you down, which is definitely what you want with a stat based kind of deck. You want to have that time to just prevent them from kind of clapping, especially Melgo X, which can just go with those multi swings from, you know, from your champion / ultimate line going all the way up to your mega. This really kind of just halts that, which is just what you want. Then we kind of run with the 2 black memory boosts. Pretty much what it says on the tin, gives you that nice bit of memory. Really good card to kind of search for your Sun Ouryuken, which is going to be helpful because obviously Sun Ouryuken is not an X-antibody card, so that's the only card that stands outside of the consistency. Also, you do get a nice delay effect of getting that 2 memory, so even if it's procced in security, getting that 2 memory always helps in terms of this. We've got to remember now that Dex DoruGreymon is kind of removed, and we may have to kind of essentially hasten our game plan. We can't really rely on the cool boy execution of kind of evoing on top of a Digimon at the same level. This is where this boy or this card will definitely help on that, just kind of having that 2 memory to secure your game plan or your your next steps in order for you to kind of get to your win condition. So we do run that at 2. Tamers and Tamers have had a bit of a reshuffling in terms of the ratios. So Kono Demono still running at 2. Memory fix is definitely important, probably more important now. Just because, you know, we do want to secure us being at 3. If we do have a few UGs down, we could at least get up to like 5 or 6 memory, which is just really helpful. And able to reveal top 4 cards and add 1 card of X-antibody in his traits, which is just always good for that nice bit of searching. Never a sad day seeing this pop out from your security. It just means that you can execute safer your overall win condition and kind of go stronger with that OTK. So definitely run that nicely comfortable at 2. I always seem to bump into this guy, which is just fantastic. Then we have increased the UG from 3 to 4, because ideally now that we do run Sun Ouryuken, I feel like we've bumped up Sun Ouryuken, we've decreased the we've actually removed Dex DoruGreymon, and we've also got rid of the 3 additional DoruGreymons. Ideally, we don't want to be, if we can reduce any form of kind of bottom decking, then, you know, I'll take it. And also gain that memory as well is going to be helpful for you when you come out of the raising. So if you need to kind of essentially top deck some cards, then this is definitely going to be your kind of the go-to guy. And also it's going to be staple for you to kind of, you know, suspend getting your sources underneath in order for you to kind of build up your stack that way, in order for you to essentially OTK a lot more safer. So UG, I have bumped him up to 4. I feel like it's good. I feel like drawing cards is always going to be fantastic. It's doing effectively what Cool Boy's doing, but now Cool Boy's condition is probably, it's definitely not less relevant, but it's probably a little bit harder to execute because we've only got one, essentially the champion lineup is basically where this boy is going to be coming into effect. But regardless, we can't sleep on Cool Boy because of the restriction, because it's still a very powerful card for this particular deck, because it can search out anything, which is just, it's a really powerful consistency tool right here. So for obviously for 2-drop reveal top 3, I mean for 2 dropping is such worth. And then when we do our Dex DoruGreymon play, this is where this boy's going to be coming into effect. It's going to work really well. Be able to get a nice bit of additional draw, gain that bit of memory. It's always sweet. So we have knocked him down to 2. You could flex it, to be honest. You could still run 3-3, which is safe. It's really completely up to you how you want to go about it. I still like the UGs To be honest, you probably could safely go with 3-3, but I feel like just due to how this kind of restrictions kind of gone down, I feel like maybe more UGs is definitely the way to go than essentially more cool boys. But guys, that is your boy done. That is your boy done. This essentially is my deck build for when it does come to the English format. I feel like this card is a really fantastic card to have if you still want to kind of have that bit of tempo. It's a really good placement for DoruGreymon. I feel like even despite the restriction on this to 1, I feel like it's still in a good position to get it underneath, because we have ways to either get it from trash or set it up from trash and so forth, versus if we just see it from a search and it just bottom deck, then you know there's no way to go around it. Like essentially, like, you know, save your Hookmon at the moment, as soon as that goes bottom deck, you're pretty much just relying on your Voltramon or your Rise Greymon from that point. I feel like it's in a good position that this could still be pretty relevant. It's unfortunate that we can't use Dex DoruGreymon. I think that's a bit of a kick in the nads, especially for people who did get that from pre-release, but that still has its own theme of deck that can still be used in. But in terms of the Alphamon build, I feel like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks without that. Any form of restriction on a deck, it sucks. But it's still in a pretty good, solid position. I don't feel like it's hindered it too much. There is also different ways you can build this deck, which is why this is so much more versatile versus Jessamon. Jessamon only has that one way currently until the start deck comes out. This has pretty much got a plethora of level 5s that he can use. It's got 2 level 5s well, technically 3 level 5s, bar this one. But yeah, he's had enough support for you to kind of construct something. It's just a bit odd that it's been masked in the JP format when it's EU that's probably seeing more of this guy being an absolute menace. But hey ho, that is my opinion. Please leave your opinions in the box in terms of what you think to the restriction, and did you think that was going to be more restricted? Personally, for me, yeah, the way it was announced on Twitter, I'm there thinking, oh, this is big scoops, big scoop. No, just one, just one scoop, and no one liked it. No one liked it at all. But that's your boy done. If you enjoyed the video, smash it like a standard, and stay safe, stay fly, keep on one for your homies. I'll catch you next one. D-Dread off the mic.